Okay, we're live. All right. Well, actually, I think there's a slight delay, maybe 20 or 30 seconds. Hey, everybody, this is Jim, the tabletop engineer. Welcome to a live miniature painting session. Hope to get some miniatures painted tonight. That's always the goal. I've got more than two, but I'll explain that in just a moment. What I'm going to do is, if you're watching this not live, doesn't matter. Just skip forward until you start seeing me move the camera down to the tabletop. Otherwise, if you're watching this live right now, just give me a couple minutes to let people join on, and be sure to say hello in the chat so I know you're there. And if you're new to the channel, please say hi and tell me where you are if you're comfortable sharing that information. I like to know where everybody is sitting and what they're maybe even doing. My goal here is to just paint some minis and chat with anyone who wants to join in. There's no ultimate goal here other than my goal is to just get a lot of my unfinished minis, which never end because I'm always buying new minis. But I'm trying to get ahead of the game, so to speak. And so I use this live session sort of as I want to say an inspiration, but really that's not it. It's more of it's not guilt either. I'm not sure what the word I'm looking for is, but knowing that when I post it, that hey, I'm going to be doing a live miniature session tonight. When I post that, knowing that people are going to join on, it sort of lights my fire to get some miniatures painted. So no one has said hello yet, but I've got a few people on I can see. You don't have to chat, but feel free to use the chat window. I will check it every now and then or as often as I can while I'm painting. Hello, Eric. Got you in the kitchen while I'm cooking. Nice. Excellent. Eric, somebody was asking on the somebody about Mace or Jeff Con. Your cheese thing was there, and they wanted to know who the winner was. And I lost. I was going to go back and post your name, but I lost the post for that. I hope maybe you caught it or somebody caught it for you. All right. So what am I going to be doing tonight? Well, I have a new game. I have a new game. I have a lot of new games. I do have a new game that I've been wanting to play for some time, and I decided I watched a live, not a live, a video playthrough of it on the YouTube the other day, and I was like, oh, I got to play this game. I had asked for this game a long time back for my birthday, and it's just sort of been sitting there, and I want to play it, so I decided I'm going to go ahead and get the miniatures painted up, or at least as much as I can. The game is called Cthulhu Death May Die. That's the subtitle. It's from CMON, Come On, the game company. And the only reason I really want to get them painted is they had a Kickstarter for the season 2. And so I want to play through the season 1 and season 3 and 4, excuse me. I have the season 1 and season 2 adventures or missions or whatever, but I want to get those done before next year when they release the next one. So here's what I'm going to be painting tonight. First off, the big bad boy himself, Cthulhu. I mean, he's nasty. This thing is just hideous, man. Seriously, you got to wonder why do people go insane? If you saw this 30 feet tall or 100 feet tall standing in front of you with the tentacles alive, and you might lose a few sanity points yourself. I'm glad he's this big because I can't imagine, looking up into the sky and seeing this thing. Now, the other thing I want to do tonight, this is sort of an experiment. I use the Army Painter speed paints, and speed paints are supposed to cut down the time that you need to paint your minis. You're not going to get, unless you're a professional miniature painter, you're not going to get professional painting results just by slapping speed paint on. But it is supposed to save time. And for those of us who are not professional miniature painters and we just want to get paint on a mini, they work really well. So what I'm going to be doing tonight is I've got 9 Cthulhu cultists to paint up. 5 of them are holding a book and pointing to the right. The other 5 have their hands in the air. So I want to paint the 4 with their hands in the air one color and the 5 pointing with the book another color. And I'm going to use speed paint. I'm going to go dit, 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 hopefully set it aside, paint on Cthulhu, then come back and do something again. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I love to make, oh yeah, I've had this forever. Bob used to live here in Georgia. He's a good friend. And I hated to hated to see him move off. He moved up to was it Iowa or Ohio? I can't remember. He moved, and but his channel has flourished. I'm so proud of him, so happy for him that he gets to do that for a living. So, all right, so I'm going to move the camera down like that. And first thing I'm going to do, I've already shaken up all my bottles before I got you guys on. So I'm going to go ahead and do the flesh, mainly because it's just their mouth and their hands. And there's not a lot visible. Even the hood covers their face except for the lower part of their mouth. So I figured this would be a good way to test the speed painting ability. All I've got to do is just put a little dot where the mouth is. And if I make a mistake, it's okay because I'm going to be going around it with red. Hey, Dorigo, welcome. Glad to have you here. Painting a bunch of cultists tonight, doing speed painting. And then I'm also going to be painting Cthulhu, who is sitting to my left. You'll see him in a minute. So all of these cultists have their mouths wide open, like they're singing or chanting, probably chanting. And it's very easy to just get their mouths done. I don't think you can see. That is the joy of speed painting. All right, now the hands, or at least the left hand for these guys. And I'm using Crusader flesh, which is the only speed paint flesh color I have. I obviously I'm not. I think cultists are equal opportunity. They don't care what race you are, what color you are. But unfortunately, tonight all I've got is the one, so they're all going to look the same. But anyway, I hope you guys are having a nice evening. It's 1 week till Christmas. I hope you've all got your Christmas shopping done. I got mine done this week. Dorigo says, cultists for which game? These specifically are from a game called Cthulhu Death May Die from CMON. Come on, the game company. It is a board game, but it's got miniatures, and I am a huge, huge Lovecraft nerd. I mean, I just love the mythos. So I have a lot of the Arkham horror games. I have a lot of books. So yeah, it's not an obsession, but I do like to play a lot of Cthulhu stuff. I play a lot of Cthulhu stuff offline that you guys never see, mainly because it just takes so long. Like Mansions of Madness is one of my favorite games. I love Mansions of Madness. It has an iPad app that drives the game. It tells you where to place the tiles and where to place the enemies and things like that. It controls a lot of the action. But the problem with it is the game can go, I mean, most of the games I play are like 2 hours. I even played one time that took about 3 hours. It was crazy long. And I find it hard to make videos that long for y'all. I just I don't know if it can hold your interest. I think most people would prefer shorter videos. And when I say shorter, I mean a lot of my videos approach an hour. But I just the Mansions of Madness games, especially the later levels, those games can last a long, long time. And I just I've never really found a way. I could video it and then edit it, but when you edit it, it's like you're going to cut something out that's critical to the game because the game is pretty much anything the iPad tells you to do is important. You don't want to cut too much out, but anyway, so that's why you don't see me playing a lot of the Arkham stuff. Now I do also play the Arkham Horror card game, which I love. I'm a little behind in my I'm a little behind in the scenarios, way behind. And those are more that I just quite haven't figured out how to properly video them because those games rely heavily on reading content from a card. And I think when you're watching a video, you really don't want to sit there and listen to somebody read all of the text off of every card they pull or they it's a bit much. I like watching Arkham Horror when it's played at the local game stores. Sometimes I'll sit down and just watch them play. But for me, it's a bit difficult to record. At least maybe I think it is. I just don't think it'd be of interest to a lot of people. So Dorigo says, "Hey folks, sorry I'm late." Oh no, Digi, sorry, Digi was on a deep dive in the creative process. Yeah, hey, that's why I record this. If you can't make it, you can always watch it later. I I'm painting for those of you who are joining late. I am painting some cultist up that are from a game called Cthulhu Death May Die. And what I'm doing is I've got 9 of them here, and I'm using the speed paints because I figured, hey, let me just do these sort of mass production, right? Just down the line, paint the hands, paint the mouth, let that dry, then paint something else. And this flesh is pooling in their palms and it doesn't look right. I don't know about that. I'm just gonna have to maybe redo that. Um, well, technically the palms probably aren't gonna be all that visible once the robes are painted their colors. All right, so I'm gonna let that dry real quick, and then here's the big bad boy. This is Cthulhu. Now, there's a lot of different ways you could paint him, but what I want to do, because there's a lot of crevices and he's got wrinkles and folds and stuff. I think what I want to do here is paint his body dark green and then dry brush it with one of the lighter ones. So I'm probably not going to finish this one tonight just because I want the darker green to dry for 24 hours. So I'm at least going to get his base color painted, and maybe the eyes and the tentacles and I'll definitely get the wing. I'll get it all painted. It just won't be the absolute final paint. So to do this, I'm going to use this one. It's called Absolution Green. This is one of the greens I sort of swore off. Actually, that's not true. The one I swore off is called Plasmatic Bolt. I thought about using that one, but it's never done right by me over white. Maybe somebody else can get it to work, but I'm hoping this Absolution Green is going to do the trick for the darker. And I'm using a big brush here because it's a lot to cover. he's huge. So, and I'm probably going to burn through, and I hope I don't burn through an entire bottle of it, but I'm going to burn through a lot. Thankfully, Army Painter sells all these mega colors or their basic colors individually, or at least at my gaming store, one of my gaming stores, they do sell them individually. So if I run out of a color, I don't have to go buy the mega set again. I can just get the one I need. I was kind of worried about that. When they announced the mega set and some of the colors I'd never heard, they were just they got weird names. Like what was that one? Absolution Green and stuff. They're kind of going the Citadel method of giving their paints these weird names. Now, they just released a video recently from their I think it was who was it that they're going to be giving them like more normal names on the label. Like this one would still be called Absolution Green, but it'll have a sub name like Dark Mutant Green or Dark Green. I don't know, but it'll be something that's a little more descriptive of what the final color will be versus something like Absolution Green. I don't know what that means until you use it. Now the bottle does show you sort of what the color will look like when it dries, but it's not accurate. It depends all on the undercoat. What do you prime in black? Do you prime in gray? Do you prime in white? I think that affects, obviously it affects the final color that you get when the model dries. So again, like I said, all I'm doing here is just hitting Cthulhu with this dark green, and I may end up liking it because it is going into the recesses, the wrinkles and folds of the skin. So I don't know how this is going to look when it dries. Could look awesome. It may not even require a dry brush. The reason I want to do the dry brush is because I want the dark to be down in the folds and a lighter up top. And that is the purpose of the speed paints. It's supposed to do that. But again, I've never painted a model this big where the detail is so obvious, and I've never really used this Absolution Green. So I don't know. Don't know what it's going to end up looking like. Could be incredibly awesome. Could be incredibly bad. I don't really care. My main thing is when I play a game like this one, I don't like to have miniatures on the tabletop that are all the same color. Like all of the same color. Like all of the cultists were this pinkish red. That was their mold color. And, you could use it, it's fine, especially if you're not into painting minis, but, I like immersion. I like to play a game where I feel like, I'm invested in the game. If I'm gonna spend time playing a game, I want the miniatures to look realistic, or at least, as close to what the creature is supposed to look like. And so that's why I'm gonna paint Cthulhu green. Now, nice to catch some of his eye. Hey, Cal, how are you, man? Todd, hello, welcome. Hope you guys maybe now I know Eric's cooking in the kitchen, but I hope all of you are doing something fun this evening, even if it's just, I don't know, watching me is fun, but I'm hoping that maybe some of y'all are painting miniatures or maybe you're crafting. I don't know. Um, as we get closer to the holidays, uh, I'm very fortunate in my job or in my old job as a technical writer, especially as a freelance technical writer. November was sort of real busy, and then December just died. Most publishing houses just shut down in December. And so traditionally, I'm pretty used to like not having anything in December. It's really weird. Now my new lasering company has kept me busy, which is a good thing. But it's just funny. December and with the lasering company, it's also sort of my sales have just dropped off this last week, because people don't order anything if they know that they're not going to probably get it before Christmas. And I was very upfront with people. I said, listen, if you order after the 12th, you're probably not going to get it, because I'm swamped, and I put that in the descriptions of the items and stuff. And so they must be reading it, because my sales really dropped off this week. And I suspect that this coming week, they'll just be almost non-existent. And so I've got a lot of things planned with my boys. I want to do some things with them, and I want to get some more games played before Christmas and Christmas Eve, and because once the holidays arrive and I've got family and stuff, I won't be doing a whole heck of a lot. Next Sunday is Christmas, so I can pretty much tell you right now I'm not going to be here live, doing a live painting session. Now I say that, I don't know, I don't know. It, it all depends on how the in-laws and the family stuff goes. It may be I may excuse myself and say, I've got to take a phone call, or I've got to go do a Zoom thing or whatever, and just disappear and do some painting. I don't know. If I do some painting, I promise I'll probably broadcast it live. If I'm where I can do that, we shall see. But typically, I want to spend the time with my boys and help them, or play with them, or do whatever it is they want to do, because they're out of school right now, and I just feel like, I need to spend some time with them, since they're usually in school and I don't get to see them as often as I do now. But I hope y'all get to do some good family time and stuff like that. Or if you're having to work, I understand. I've been there. I have worked holidays before. When I was in college, I did it. Um, I worked for Sam's Club, and I worked many a holiday just because it was good extra money. It was like time and a half, and sometimes they'd pay double time and a half depending on what you were hired to do. And anyway, so yeah, I do hope everybody can have some time off. But if you're going to be working, uh, just be safe, and I hope the holidays are still good for you. Let's see. Eric says, I promise one of these 5 streams I'm actually going to paint. Todd says that green looks great. Yeah, on video, it's a little darker. Trust me. I'm looking at the video screen, so I see what you see. It's not as dark as it's appearing on the video. Yeah, definitely. Like the back looks really dark, but in person, it's much more. It's a little lighter than it's appearing there. What I'm trying to do now is figure out where to draw I want his tentacles to be a slightly different shade of green. I just shot a video not just maybe a few days ago, where I mixed some of these speed paints, the different I mixed some. I'm gonna hit his eyes. All right, I'll go back over it with white. Um, I mixed some of these speed paints to try to get different shades. I wasn't sure if that was even possible. Well, it is. I mixed 2 shades of brown, a light and a dark, and I got a medium tone brown that surprised me. I don't know why. I just, for some reason, thought that the speed paints probably weren't intended to be, mixed, but they do. They mix just fine, or at least the browns do. Those are the ones I tested. So just letting you know that what I'm planning on doing in just a minute for his tentacles below his mouth or nose or whatever, I'm going to use this green that I'm painting here, but I'm going to mix a lighter green with it. And the only other lighter green I have is one called Orc Skin. It is a little lighter, so I'm hoping it will brighten it up. We will see. You guys will be seeing the live results, which I hope are pretty good. Now I'm trying not to paint his nails. I'm gonna have to go back over those with white because I've already made some mistakes and gotten some paint on them, but that's okay. That's all part of it. Paint the under the nail, and then I'll repaint the parts that I'm gonna probably paint with like a bonish color for his nails, talons, or whatever you want to call them. I'm just hitting him all the way. All right, so he is done body wise. That's it. All right, let's let him dry for a few, and let me check the comments, and then I'm gonna go hit the cultists. And I forgot my paper towel. 1 second. I always forget the paper towels. What did I do with them? All right, sorry about that. One thing I just always forget the paper towels. All right, let me get these roads. All right, so here are the 9 cultists. I've got their hands and their mouth painted. Now what I'm going to do is the red of the robes of the. You know what? I think I'm going to do robes. The red ones will be the ones holding the book. So that means yellow for the ones on the left. And I tend to work left to right because I'm right-handed. So that's why I'll be doing, instead of going this way, which is awkward, I'll be going this way, which is more natural. So I'm hoping the yellow and red robes, the 2 different colored cultists, I'm hoping it'll look okay. I don't know. We will see. Brian, welcome, Brian. Hey, welcome, Christian. My sound elf, Christian's here. Everybody, it's good to see you guys. Hope everybody's ready for the holidays. They are here now. Oh man, that does look so good. I will say this: the yellow, which is called Zealot Yellow. What a perfect name for cultists, right? The Zealot Yellow over white. It looks so good. I'm hoping that this is going to look as good as it does going on wet when it dries. We will see. And again, what I'm doing tonight is I'm trying to prove that I forgot to do his hand. He's got a hand that I didn't paint. Whoops. I'm using the speed paints as in one of the ways that they're supposed to be used, which is batch painting. I haven't done a lot of batch painting in my life. I know people that play like Warhammer and some of the games that have like, lots and lots of miniatures. They are heavy into the batch painting, but I haven't done a whole lot of it. So I wanted to see how well it worked on these. And so far right now, if all goes well, within the hour, I should have 9 miniatures painted. Now, granted, they're all going to be identical or mostly identical, but that's okay. They're not, they're meant to be looking identical. They're cultists, right? They're all supposed to be wearing the same robes or what have you. And there's some white that's coming off on my brush. I don't know. I painted these yesterday. The primer should have already dried, but not sure what's going on there. Well, no, it's not the reactivation. That wouldn't have anything to do with the primer. I don't know. It's very weird. Maybe it just, I'm down here in my basement, so maybe some of the white just didn't dry as good as it could. My Zealot Yellow is red yellow. I thought it was a lack of shaking, but no. It's red when I put it on, like you can see, it's got a red tone when it pools, but on the flat surfaces, it's definitely yellow. And I think when it dries, it does have a reddish yellow tint, but it's still on the yellow spectrum, right? At least I've used it before on other things, and I always get sort of a gold. I use it for gold, like if a character's wearing a wristband or some piece of jewelry or a buckle or something, I'll paint it white and then go over it with the Zealot, and it gives it a gold color. But you're right, there is a slight redishness to it, I guess. I just think it looks perfect for these cultists. There's sort of a hint of red in there, I guess, and it makes them look very evil. Um, oh man, that does look good. So I'm painting just the 4 with their hands up in the air. Those are going to be the ones with yellow robes, and then the ones holding the book and the holding the book and pointing to their right, those are going to be painted with the red robes. And I've got to get one of these guys. I forgot to paint his hands. So I've got to remember to do that before too long. All right, switch around to the front. I'm going to need some more. I guess that's one of the thing about batch painting, though, is you do burn through the paint. I mean, I'm squeezing out quite a bit here, and it's for 4 minis, but it's still a lot of paint. And as I mentioned earlier, I know that I can get what do you call it? Separate individual bottles of the replacement colors I need. So I think most of the paint companies do that. I don't know of any offhand that don't offer their paint in individual bottles. Maybe there are some colors that you can only get in a certain way. I don't know. I don't know if anybody knows that or not, but anyway. Oh, and I forgot, they got little bits of shoes poking out from under the robes. I'll have to hit those with maybe a brown or something. And some of it got in their mouth, but you know what? That's okay. I can fix that later. These guys look really evil. I mean, I would not want to come across a yellow-robed monk with his hands in the air chanting some gibberish. I would not. But these are going to look so good on the tabletop. And the other thing I like about these is I'll be able to use them with other things. I mean, if I need cultists for a role-playing game or something, I've got them. If I need them for Frostgrave or something like that, I've got cultists. I've got 9 cultists, so I am good to go on that. Let's see. Yes, I've painted up some nightmare creatures with the zealot on the hide. It's very creepy. Yeah, it's definitely a creepy looking color. And I think he's right. I think there is a reddish hint to it. It's yellow. It's recognizable as yellow, but yes, it's definitely stained with a darker color. All right. These guys look freaky and this guy with his one hand painted white. I've got to remember to get that. I won't forget because it's so blindingly obvious that his hand is unpainted. And I'm not going crazy here with the detail. If there's little mistakes, I just don't care. These are a board game mini for a game called Cthulhu, Death May Die. These aren't going to be entered in any kind of contest. So I am not caring too much if I'm a little free with slapping the paint on them. The main thing is I just want to get playing the game. And so I want to get some miniatures painted so I can get going with that. I'm just looking at all the areas that I'm missing. I mounted this on a handle here and with some Gorilla Tape to hold the miniatures in place. And so I can easily swivel it around and see where I've missed. And I'm already seeing some white spots where I missed under the arms. But that's it. These guys are pretty much done for the robes. That one guy's got his hand. I got to get it. And down in here, I have noticed that some of these colors bubble. I don't know if you've noticed that. Where a bubble dries, it leaves like a circle, so you got to be careful to pop them. What monkey minis are those? Nightmare. What? Okay, I went to the cultists for the COC, but yeah, these are from it's Cthulhu, but it's called Cthulhu Death May Die. It's a game from CMON that released. This game's been out for a while. It caught my attention when I saw it being played. I saw it being played online, and then I saw it being played in person. It was seeing it in person and seeing how much fun the people were having. It made me realize I wanted it. So I asked for it for a birthday gift earlier this year, and it's just been sitting there because I've been busy with other things, and I just haven't had a chance to play it. And that's what I hate about being like I am, and probably like some of y'all, is too many games, not enough time. I just want more time in my life to play the games I want to play, and I'm not getting it. Okay, there you go. 4 yellow cultists. I've got to paint the bases black, and I'm probably going to go over their mouths and eyes with a dark wash once they're dried, because I don't want them to have red eyes. It looks red because it's not dried yet. So let me put this guy aside, these four, and I'm going to go back to Cthulhu, who definitely, I don't think I'm going to worry about dry brushing. Wow, that turned out really good. I mean, wow, it is. There's some areas I missed. Now I'm just going to do some touch up. You can, once it dries, you can really see, you're like, oh yeah, there I missed his knee, under his tentacles, and missed a part of his chest. Yeah, missed a lot. That's all right. So as soon as I finish the leg part that I missed here, I'm gonna mix up a color. Actually, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do the wings and give this a little bit more time to dry. Um, so that, because I am touching up some areas, I don't want to do the reactivation, but so far I haven't seen any reactivation happening with this green. I know it's a problem with some colors, but this one not so much. All right, so the wings. The wings, in some of the pictures of Cthulhu, the wings are the same color. In others, they're a different color. I want to go. What I was thinking is I was going to do this sand golem, but put a drop of green in it just to see what it looks like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start slow here. I am going to put 3 drops of this. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to do 4. 4. And then I'm going to mix a drop of, not the absolution green. Let's do the lighter green. I'm going to do orc skin. And I want the wings to be a different green, but I still want them to be green, but with a hint of brown in them. Like they're leathery. They're kind of beat up. I don't know if 1 drop of this is going to do it, but we will certainly see. I can see the brown and I can see the green. It's just hard to tell. I'm going to slap it on one of the wings and just see what happens. Oh, it's like this baby poop green. Not sure if I don't know. Now it's so gross, it's actually makes sense. It's sort of a yellow poopish green. What my kids would call baby poop. I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna blend it a little with the green on the back and see. Yeah, no, I like it. I like it. So I got to remember it was 4-1. 4-1. That's the one thing you got to be careful is if you're gonna mix your own colors, try to be consistent so they dry the same. So I did 4 of the sand golem and 1 orc green, and we will see what the final looks like when it dries. But right now I'm kind of digging it. It's gross and it's nasty looking, but it makes the wings pop out. You can actually see that the wings are a separate part of him. Kentucky Fried. Hey, Ron, do you like the Army Painter speed paints better than the contrast paints? Ron, I've used very few of the contrast paints, so I can't answer that in all honesty, just because I don't have the experience. I have about 10 contrast paints in my collection, and they're very specific. Most of them are like electrics, like electric blue and a neon yellow, and I bought those because I was painting some miniatures. I can't remember what they were that needed some of those vibrant cyberpunky colors, and they did fine. The Citadel ones, they definitely went on fast, but I honestly can't tell you because I haven't used the regular ones enough to know which ones are better. I basically go by what people online say, like Dana Howell. She's firmly in the use what you need kind of, so she moves around quite a bit. But a lot of those testers, the ones they hire, I don't know if they hired them, if they're paying them or what, but the ones that like Brent Goober Hobbies, those guys and gals, they are so far 4-1. They are so far speaking very highly of the improvements that Army Painter is doing to the to the paints, their speed paint range. I grabbed them because they were available, right? I mean, I guess if Vallejo had come out with their line sooner than Army Painter, I probably would have bought Vallejo ones just to try them out. And if the Vallejo ones worked for me, well, guess what? I'd use them. And I may still buy some of the Vallejos. The only reason I'm really sticking with the Army Painter, and it's not just the cost. They are less expensive than the Citadel paints. I don't know what the cost is for the Vallejo brand. They may be probably priced the same as the Army Painter just to be competitive. But I will say this. In my experience working with Army Painter, and when I say working, not job wise, but I've been to a few conventions here in Atlanta where I was in charge of like the wargaming section or the RPG section, and when I would reach out to Army Painter um, for like donations of paint and brushes, they were without a doubt just incredibly just they they don't say no. I mean, that maybe they do to other to but we proved who we were. We proved that we were a real conference, and we showed them some numbers, some history and stuff like that. And we told them kind of what our game plan was, that we wanted to have this room where we could teach kids, like kids could come in and pay $1, get a free mini and sit down and paint. And Army Painters sent us so much paint, so many brushes, washes. I mean, they were so generous that I'm like, you know what? Uh, a company that does me right, I'm going to do them right. And so I'm not paid by Army Painter to tell you that I'm enjoying these paints. I've been very honest. I've told you there's certain ones of these that just are. I think they just don't work. That plasmatic bolt, I'm never using that again. Not until I hear that they've improved it or fixed it, because it's just a horrible green. Doesn't go on well, at least in my experience. And I shake my paints well before I start these videos, and it's just not worked for me. So there's his wing, and it is gross. Winston says, "What's your favorite color?" I'm glad you asked, Winston, because I'm going to tell you, because some of the people here already know. One of the speed paint colors, two, three. Oh, I may have messed up. Ah, I'll blend it. One of my absolute favorite colors, or right now my favorite color, is one called, I'll show it to you. It's called Grave Lord Gray, right there, Grave Lord Gray. And the reason I like that is I don't like to paint miniatures black. I like to paint them. Come on. I like to paint them where you can see the detail. This Grave Lord, the sorry, let me spin it around. The Grave Lord Gray. Sorry, the Grave Lord Gray. It goes on dark. It's gray. It's a very dark gray, but when it dries, you can almost pretend that it's black. You can paint shoes with that color. I painted some armor that I wanted, like some a stealthy armor that was like leather or whatever. I painted it with that Gravelord Gray. It looks so good. It just, all the details pop, but you can still sort of pretend that it's black, right? But it allows you to see all the details. So there you go. I hope that answered your question. Brian, Candy showed me a horse she painted at JeffCon. Do you know which brand of paint she used? What are the pros and cons of contrast versus speed paint? Dungeon Matron, I wish I could tell you that. There are videos on YouTube where people do compare the contrast paints, Citadel paints, to the Army Painter. I know, I say I know, I'm pretty confident that Dana Howell had a video that did justice of I think it was her that did a really good comparison of them. You may want to hunt that up. I don't have enough contrast paints in my collection to be fair about it, and I don't get paid by Army Painter to promote theirs. It's just what I bought. Right? It came out. It was for what I wanted to pay. I didn't want to pay the prices that Citadel charges for their paints. And so when Army Painter announced the cost of theirs and how much how many ounces and stuff, I felt like it was a fair price. So that's why I mostly am dealing right now with the Mega paint set. It came with 23 colors. and a bottle of speed paint medium, which you're apparently supposed to be able to mix this with standard paints and sort of make them into speed paints. I haven't done that yet. I probably ought to leave this out and try and test that. I don't know if that will work or not. Do you paint everything you use in your campaign? Yeah, pretty much. I don't remember the last time I played a game, a solo game. I play a lot of solo games. I don't remember the last time I played a solo game with unpainted minis. Maybe I did. I can't recall. There is a game I'm playing right now called Final Girl, and it's a board game, but it does have miniatures that are sold separately for each of the girls. There's like 10 of them, I think. And I have them. I haven't painted them yet. I probably will paint them, but here's the thing. In the game, having the painted miniature just doesn't really add to the game. It uses a meeple, and I'm fine using the meeple when I play that game. Painting one of the miniatures, I don't know, but they're very cool minis. That's why I got them, because there's another game I want to start playing called Don't Look Back, and these are sort of in that vein. They're very 80s horror looking, and they just look really cool. All right, so I'm going to use Slaughter Red, right, for the cultists. Doesn't that just make sense? Let me go back and see. Okay, y'all have a bunch of the cultists. Okay, yeah, they're fine. I'm just making sure I didn't miss anything. Sorry. Brian, do you paint everything? It was Gore Grunta first, the Citadel contrast. Yeah, there are people on here that you could probably ask some of those questions about the paints, and they'll tell you what they like or don't like. But for me, until Army Painter paints stop delivering on what I expect from them for the price, I'll keep using them. They're they're very reasonable, and so far, what the results I'm getting, with the exception of a couple colors, as I mentioned, the other color that I don't use anymore is called, it's Plasmatic Bolt and Runic Gray. I have not had any success with Runic Gray. It looks like a watered down bluish gray that just doesn't seem to adhere. It collects, and that's on white. Now I don't know what it looks like on darker colors, but I've mainly used it on white painted minis. You'll notice I don't do all that zenithal stuff. I mean, I've tried it in the past, but if I were going to be painting miniatures for like contests and magazine, trying to submit to magazines and stuff like that, maybe I'd spend a little more time on my miniatures. But I am a paint it and get it on the table person. So I just tell you that because the Runic Gray looks good in terms of the color on the bottle that it shows you it's supposed to look like, but I have not gotten those results with it. And maybe I got a bad batch. I'm not going to say that it's a bad paint, because there may be people out there who are like, Jim's crazy. He says Runic Gray is horrible, and I love it. It's very possible I got a bad batch, and I just know that I've shaken it, and applied it, and I just don't get good results with it. So I moved it out of the tray here and into a top tray where maybe I'll grab it again and try it sometime soon. But right now it is banished. It's banished from the tray of friendly paints. So this is, man, I'm telling you, friendly paints. So this is, man, I'm telling you, speed painting combined with batch painting, where you're trying to do all the miniatures. This is great. Now, granted, I've only done the backs of them, so I still got to do the front. But come on, man, this is flying. I love it. I'll check the comments in section and see what you guys are chatting about. But my eyes are, I'm trying to focus and not get it on their hands. Honestly, you add medium to any paint, you get a contrast formula. No difference in the paints other than the formulation. Speed paint is Army Painter's catchphrase. Here's what I was told, and I don't know if this is true. I was told that the Army Painter speed paints are water-based, and that's why they have this activation issue. Now, that's what I heard on a video, or I think that's where I heard it. So I'm telling you that don't hold me to that. Then on the opposite side, I heard that Citadel paints actually use non-water. They have a formula that makes them dry faster, apparently, because they do dry faster. I can verify that. The speed paints, for the effects you want, you gotta wait. You gotta let them dry good, or you're gonna get that reactivation issue a lot. But I can't answer that, other than what I've been told is that there is a slight formula variation, in the sense that the Citadels are not. I mean, they have, everything has water in it, but they have some chemical, apparently, that enhances the drying speed and also does something about the getting into the grooves. And so Army Painter, I don't know if you can truly compare Army Painter to Citadel in a fair contest if they're not actually basically using the same formula or the same chemicals. Now, if they're promising the same results, then you absolutely can compare them. If they say, "Oh, you get the same results as the Citadel for half the price," well, that's something you can test. I'm not going to test it. I wouldn't know how to test that. I think I'd leave that up to the pros, who know the language and can talk the talk about what it is that paints do and how they behave and stuff like that. But not me. I just slap the paint on and get the miniature on a table. I know that sounds horrible, but it's true. I just want to play the games, get the miniatures painted and play. All right, almost done with the backs, and then I'm gonna take a break from this. The gray got removed from the general population. Yes, exactly. It got banished. It just wasn't doing its job, and so I had to take it out. Um, I'm curious. I may go online and see what others. I haven't really searched to see what people are saying about the runic gray. Now, the Gravelord gray, my favorite, but the runic gray, not my favorite, and banished. So, all right, the red robes are very. I assume they're going to dry a little darker. They are called slaughter red, and so they're not the bright cherry red that is blood red, which is the other Army Painter red in the box. So these are definitely darker, and that's fine. I'm cool with that. I didn't want them to be bright cherry red. I don't want my cultists wearing Ronald McDonald red. So this is going to be fine. So there we go, the yellow and the red, and now it's just a matter of cleaning it up. Will misting with isopropyl alcohol set the paint between coats so they don't reactivate? I don't know. I really don't know. Um, I When I get done painting my minis completely, I always hit them with a matte varnish lacquer spray, and so it just protects the paint. I haven't seen any reactivation with that, but you're talking about alcohol, which I suspect that isopropyl mixed with speed paints probably. I don't know. That's a good question, if it would reactivate or not. My guess is that it would, but my guess is also that it won't reactivate if you don't touch it or smear it. What happens with the reactivation is if you put a paint over a speed paint, you're going to get the reactivation because the water in the second color liquefies or turns the original color, into a liquid again, and it moves and smears. But I'm not a chemist. I don't understand the science behind it, other than what I hear on the videos from people who test them out. And now, according to some of those testers, Army Painter is either very close or they're on the breaking edge of solving their reactivation. Because what I really appreciated with Army Painter was they didn't try to cover the problem up. I mean, there was no way to do that. It was out that there's an issue with reactivation. So rather than try and say, "Oh, well, you're painting wrong," they acknowledge that, yeah, we know we figured out there's something and we're going to solve it. And so I give them points for acknowledging that there was a problem and for saying we're gonna do our best to fix it. And from what I gather from the testers, whatever there's this secret bottle. If you watch their videos, there's this secret bottle that they get sent, and I don't know if it's labeled. I'm sure it's labeled like secret ingredient or something, but the testers, as far as I know, don't know what's in it. Now, now, Brant from Goober Hobbies, he's a PhD chemist. He might have the technical know-how to, I don't know what the word would be, reverse engineer it or break it down into its parts and determine what's in it. Um, I don't know. I don't know if that's possible, or the quantity, or maybe maybe he can determine what the major chemicals are, but he may not be able to determine like the amount, like how much is needed to get that precise mix. That's probably a trade secret that Army Painter wants to protect, right? But I watched a video, and it may have been Dana Howells, but I can't remember who. But apparently, Army Painter is you know either solving it, or they're close to solving it, or they've got it solved. I got to think, and this is just my opinion, but I mean, think about it from a business point of view. They are wanting to release another 24 colors. I think one video they said that their goal was to get up to 96 colors. I remember hearing that in a recent Army Painter video. 96. That's a lot of paint. Um, and they're also apparently going to be doing metallics. But let's talk about the 96 paints. All right. If you had a business and you knew that one of your paints had a technical issue with, this reactivation, would you go about releasing another 24 paints before you solved that problem? I got to think that Army Painter's smarter than that. They are. They're a smart bunch. They are not going to they're not going to release their new paints with the same problem, right? I mean, they're not going to release them and sell them and then have people go, "Oh man, you didn't solve the reactivation problem." So I got to think that we will not see these new paints. I mean, we could see them in a month. I don't know what their manufacturing process is, but my point is, we're not going to see them until they've solved this issue. That's my opinion. I just can't see Army Painter not solving the problem, but putting 24 new paints out there that have the exact same problem as the original 24 or 23 or whatever. So there you go. My 2 cents. I could be wrong. Let me zoom in here. My eyes are getting old and I can't read some of these. Brian says, I use runic gray for white cloth. That's a possibility, Brian, only because, like I said, it doesn't, at least in my experience, it does not, it's like a dirty white. Yeah, I would say that's probably a good way to look at it, for a paper or something like that. So what I'm doing right now is just touching up the cultists, where I see I've missed some spots, and then I am done. Now, unfortunately, the red masks the mouth color. So what I may have to do, if I want that color to stand out, I may have to go back later once these things have been varnished. I will go back and I'll go back and use a non-speed paint flesh and just dot the mouths. Maybe that will bring them back out. I'm just not sure how I'm gonna do that. All right, so I need one more drop of this, and I think we're done with the red. And I'm gonna go back to Cthulhu. Now, normally I do this for an hour. We're at an hour, but if you need to go. I know I usually tell people that I'll do this for an hour. Right now, I want to finish these, so I'm not gonna just stop right now cold. I'm gonna keep going until I finish them, and you're welcome to stay on as long as you like. Just like I said, all I'm doing right now is just touching up where I see that I missed under their sleeves and down near their feet. That is gonna do it. That's perfect. All right. Now, I didn't do the back of the hands on the book. I just realized their hand is visible on the back, but I'm going to let those dry, and I'm going to go back to Cthulhu. Let me get this light turned on. There we go. Other than that or paper, I don't have much use for it. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they nix it from their mix, like just cut it out and come out with some new blue gray or something. Or maybe they fix it and then they'll announce, hey, if any of you had trouble with runic gray, we've resolved it. I just don't know. All right, so now for the tentacles on his face, I want those to be almost like this, like the wings, but a little bit darker. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my same mix here. I'm going to go with, what did I say? It was that sand. Where did I do with it? Here, I must have put it back. Nope, here it is. Sand Golem, and then I put a drop of the orc skin in it. So I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to leave the dark. So I'm going to use I'm going to use 6 drops. 1, 2, 3. No, sorry, wrong mix. I'm going to use 5 of the orc skin to 1 drop of the sand. So 1, come on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a very dark, nasty green, but it's almost too pretty a green, and I think it's going to look weird against that really dark green body. So I want to dull it down a little bit. So I'm going to put a drop of this sand in there, sand golem, and mix it up and see if that like turns it into a little grosser green, and it does kind of look that way. So let me just slap some on there. And it's still a little too. I don't know. I'm gonna use it and see. I can always go back and hit it with a dark wash to dull it down, because right now it's a little brighter than I want, but it's wet, so I don't know. I don't know. Let me show it. So not pleased with it, but I'm willing to let it dry, and then I'm also willing to hit it with a dark tone wash to take that green down a couple notches, because it definitely is brighter than what I wanted. All right, sorry, I was just tentacles. Yes, gotta love old Cthulhu. All right, and really, like I said, I'm just slapping it on there. I'm trying to avoid his body. I don't want to get it on, but the tentacles are so dense that you can sort of slap it on there, and it's just getting where it needs to go. And then I'll go back with a smaller brush and get some of the details. Because remember, when you're using these speed paints, if you get 2 different colors like red, blue, yellow, or green or something, and you get them too close to each other, they will mix, or they will stain, and then you'll have to prime or at least paint white what what you made a mistake on. So I'm trying to be careful and get the tentacles without getting it on too much of his body. And again, not trying to be perfect. I don't. That's the one thing I don't really want to do, is spend a lot of time on this. I want him ready to play. All right, so there we go. So yeah, the green of his body is much darker. Um, I will take a picture of this once it dries and post it on the Tabletop Engineer Facebook page, so you can kind of see it. Because in here, the light, what you're looking at, is a little darker than what I'm seeing. The body is not as dark as it looks in the video. So, man, he looks nasty. All right, the last thing I want to do, because I'm going to let him, I do need to hit the talons with a little bit of white. I'm going to do that now. That's not the right stuff. I'm going to do that now so that it dries and I can hit the nails with like a bone color in a little bit. And let's see, what else? Can contrast or speed paints be blended? Well, I just did it. I don't know if contrast and speed can be blended, because those are 2 different brands. I gotta think probably some would work and some might not get you good results, but I don't know. I do, like I said, what I've heard, and I don't know this for a fact, is that the Army Painter and the Citadel paints have different formulas. They're like different chemicals in them. So will they mix? Couldn't tell you. Probably, but you might get some weird results, and that's just my guess. I don't know that for a fact. So I would say, do it at your own risk. Um, I mean, paint. I won't say paint's cheap, but it kind of is, if you think. I mean, if you want to mix a drop or 2 of this and a drop or 2 of that, you're not going to run out of paint. But I wouldn't go doing it, with large amounts of paint that cost you, $10 for a bottle or whatever the going price is. Um, That's one of the reasons I do like the Army Painter speed paints. I also think that's one of the reasons so many people are buying the Army Painter speed paints is the price is right. I mean, 20, the mega set is $90, give or take. Let's just say 100, but you get 20, was it 24? Let's just round it up to 20. It's like $4 a bottle. I mean, it's really not bad. I know that I've priced Citadel paints and they are not $4 for a pot. Now, I don't know what the quantity is. It's very possible you might get a little more paint in those pots than you do in these bottles. I don't know. I guess I could go over there and look and see. These are, what is this ounce wise? This is, doesn't say, does it? I know there's an ounce. Oh, here it is. These are 0.6 fluid ounces. Hang on one second. All right. The small Citadel, pots are, God, I'm gonna need my readers because I can't read their writing. It's so small. These are 0.4. So this is smaller, and I think these are about $6 or $7, possibly more. And then there's the bigger pot, and this is 0.8. So it's halfway between the Army Painters. I think I'm pretty confident in saying that the paint prices I've seen at my local game stores, that the Citadel paints are definitely a little more expensive. I mean, if you wanted to have the top half of the tentacle in a different color in the bottom. Oh, yeah, you can blend. Oh, yeah. Now, blending Army Painter with Citadel, I got to think you can. I just don't know how the two chemicals that are in the speed paint and in the Citadel contrast paint, I don't know how those blend, right? It's like mixing what? Oil and vinegar, or oil and water. They're not going to mix. You can see it in there. There might be something in the actual paint itself that does not lend itself to mixing. Now the Army Painter, I've blended yellow and red. I've blended orange and red. I did some flames the other night where I first put on yellow and then I streaked it real fast with the orange, and it gives it that flame effect, and it looked great. I mean, the blend was perfect. No complaints there. So yeah, but couldn't tell you about the mix of brand name paints, mixing those. Don't just not sure. Probably should have done this with a bigger brush. All right, so all I'm doing right now is just hitting the base with black, just so he becomes the center of attention. His all the details pop out, and because I'm not playing with these miniatures a whole heck of a lot, I'm not really being very careful. I'm not really being very careful. That's not true. I haven't got any black on his toes yet, but the night is still young. He his toes are big enough that you can use your brush to kind of go between them, and the bristles will flatten and not ride up on the talons. So speaking of talons, I probably need to paint his feet talons white too, just to be consistent. It just looks weird having them be the same color as his skin. I don't think it would be like that. I'm not a Cthulhu expert. I don't know. Maybe somebody out there knows. I've read the stories, the Lovecraft stories, so many times, but I don't remember any descriptions about the color of his toes or his talons. I think that's left up to the reader. All right. Yeah, buddy. That is Cthulhu. Winston says, "What is the biggest miniature you've painted?" I painted a skeleton a little bit bigger than this one, but that was a while back, and he was a skeleton, so he was kind of mass-wise. This is probably the biggest one. I don't have a lot of miniatures bigger than this one. Although a friend of mine, Arkvane, did give me 2 miniatures at Mace. Let me show these to you. I'm going to be painting these up soon. Hang on. Let me get them for you and show you. Some of you may know Arkvane. He shows up here sometimes. I don't think I've seen him here tonight, but he made these like they're like junk bits, and they're turrets that he's glued in, and these are supposed to be some sort of aquatic nature. These things are awesome, but they're totally handmade. He uses putty. I can see the putty where he's used to blend things. There's some sort of can here cut to make shoulder armor. This guy is some sort of crustacean, but he's got like gun turrets and I mean some sort of engine on his back. Yeah, this is really, really wild. I don't know where I'll use these, but I do want to paint them and just have them in my workshop. By the way, Winston, is this Winston of my son's friend Winston, or is this a different Winston? Yes, I thought so. How you doing, Winston? So one of my fellow one of my earlier D&D players when I was running a game for my son, this is one of his friends, Winston. And I thought maybe he had jumped online. Winston wants me to start running a D&D game again, and I'm happy to do that, but it's going to be old school essentials, Winston, not Dungeons and Dragons. But it is old school Dungeons and Dragons if you're interested in that. It's not 5e, so you can talk to me about that. Winston said, "What are the youngest people you have DM'd for?" You guys, Winston. You guys, 12-year-old, 13-year-old. That's the youngest I've ever DM'd. Actually, that's not true. I think I DM'd for my son Decker when he was like 10, but that was at a gaming store and none of his friends were there. So anyway, let me see what else we got here. Dig said, "I'm not a Cthulhu expert, but I did sleep in a Holiday Inn Express last night." Exactly. I can tell you're already smarter, right? You definitely feel smarter. All right. So, man, I would not want to encounter this guy. I'm going to put a couple white drops of white in his eyes because I want to paint those red when the white dries. So I'm going to go ahead and this is a glossy white, and I'm probably going to regret this, but I am going to just put a dot, just a round dot. There we go. And it's not going to be permanent white. Like I said, I'm going to let it dry, and then I'll hit it with red. So let me hit that with water before it dries. Put some of that white away. There we go. Come on. There we go. All right. I've got a little bit of that green left. It's not dry yet, so I'm gonna hit it around his eye where I made a mistake. There we go. There we go. Perfect. All right. So his eyes are big white bright dots. And tomorrow, after this dries well, I'll put a big dot of red, bright red for his eyes. So he's got these reds. And I'm going to hit his talons with this one, right? What did I do with it? I don't remember where it is. I think it's the pallid bone. Yeah, I'll hit them with pallid bone. I guess I could do it right now. It looks like it's dry, but we're needing to wrap this up in just a minute. So the last thing I need to do for the well, not last thing. I've got to paint the bases. I'm not going to do that tonight and bore you. So what I got to do is I got to hit the hands with the Crusader skin and then paint the book brown on the back and probably that pallid bone on the front for that ivory look. Right? So what did I just do? That was weird. All right. Oh, that was it. Sorry, I put a little dot right here. I was wondering where it went. So anyway, I hope you guys all have a great Christmas. I hope y'all have a safe one. I hope if you're traveling, that you have some safe travels. And I won't be here next Sunday unless something really weird happens and I just have to get painting miniatures. But I will be back the following Sunday. I believe so. I'll have to double check that. That's New Year's Eve. You know, I'm one of those that always remembers that New Year's Eve and Christmas Eve always fall on the same day, or like Saturday this year. And it's kind of irritating because when it's on a weekend, it just means that if you have Christmas Eve plans and New Year's plans, you lose two Saturday nights. So I don't think right now I have anything planned for New Year's Eve at 8:00. Or no, New Year's Day. Is it New Year's Day? New Year's Day at 8:00. So New Year's Day. Is it New Year's Day? New Year's Day at 8:00. So I should be here. Should be here. All right, I'm going to use hardened leather. I'm going to use hardened leather for the book. See you later, Ron. Take care, brother. Let's see. Todd's out of here. Good night, Todd. Now he just needs a Santa cap. I'm holding him. Wednesday says, how can you save your paintbrushes if they're still stiff? I don't know. Maybe there's some chemical you can stuff them in, but I dry my, after I dry them off real well, I roll them on the paper towel, and then I usually leave them out to dry overnight. Got to make sure the paint is totally off them. I mean, you can't have paint left on your brushes. You can buy paint cleaner, and I used to have a bottle around here. I don't know what I did with it. But clean water. I'm using this nasty water. I will take my brushes here after I'm done, and I will go run them through some clean water to get any remaining paint out. And then I just leave them sitting out like that to air dry. So don't know if that'll help you. That's my solution. I'm not saying it's the solution, but yeah, that could do it for you. All right. What did I do? Hardened leather. Here we go. Good questions, Winston. Are you wanting to start painting your miniatures? And I think I still have one of your minis that you keep wanting me to paint, and I keep forgetting to do it. And I'm sorry about that. I will try to get to it. Got to find it first. All right, so these guys are holding a book, and I'm not being careful. I'm just throwing the brown on there and trying not to get it on their hands so that one of them you can see the hand and the book. That's it. Not going crazy, not trying to be meticulous here. I just want to get these things done. There is that gap between the thumb and the pointer finger that I got to get down in because it's actually white, and it will be very obvious if I don't get it. So I do got to get down in there for that. And then after this is done, I just hit the front of the books with the pallid bone to simulate the dirty, the old musty, moldy pages of a book, and that will be that. Yeah, this red really did good, guys. I'll take some close-up pictures and post them online, but the red has dried mostly, and it's nice and dark down in the crevices of the creases of the robe, and it just looks really, really evil. Yeah, it does. That's the best word I can describe it. It looks evil. They look evil in these robes. All right, there we go. Some red, some white parts that didn't get done. Yes, I am touching certain white parts of their robe with brown leather because it just ultimately it's such a small white piece that it won't matter. All right. So now pallid bone, and we are done with the cultist. I will paint the bases of these tomorrow. I'm tired. My eyes are starting to hurt. I'm done. I don't want to paint 9 bases black. I'll do it on my own time tomorrow. So the last thing I'm doing here is the pallid bone. Oh, which one was it? I think it was this one. Let me tell. I'll do it on one and see. Yeah, it was that one. All right, so it's just giving it a yellowy old book look, and there's only 5 of them to do. And remember, this is for a game where I think they literally may be used in like a couple scenarios, and as the game ramps up, you just don't run into cultists anymore because they're so low level. But there you go. 9 cultists all in a row, painted yellow, zealot yellow for these 4, and slaughter red for these. And I'm going to let these dry really well overnight, along with old Cthulhu here, and we are done. All right. Let me take the camera up here. Okay, so thanks for joining me tonight. Wow, we had a lot of people. There were more on earlier, like 15 or so, but now it says we got 11, 10. The yellow ones are cautiously evil. Yes. Slow down when approaching the yellow ones. You got to stop when you're approaching the red ones. Thanks for joining me. I don't know if I will be here in 2 Sundays. I know I won't be here next Sunday night. So everybody have a Merry Christmas. Be safe. The following Sunday, I should. I say I should. Don't think I have anything going on that Sunday night. That's New Year's Day. Most everything's closed. I don't have any parties to go to that night. So I think we should be okay to do a live painting session then. All right, that's it, everybody. This is Jim, the tabletop engineer. Whether you're live or watching this later, thanks for watching the video. I hope you liked what I painted. It's a little different than what I normally paint, which is the fantasy and sci-fi stuff. I guess this is fantasy in a certain way, but I'll get you some photos of the final results tomorrow morning and put them up on the Facebook page, and then you can see how they look up close. All right, everybody. Y'all have a good night. Bye. Bye, Winston. Bye, Eric. Bye, Dorigo. Bye, Dungeon Matron. Bye. Bye, everybody. Have a good evening.